Hi everyone, a very warm welcome to Life, Loss and Hope. Thank you for your support. Please continue to subscribe, like and share. Working as a hospice chaplain with terminally ill and end-of-life patients was such a window into a world that is rarely talked about, a world of extraordinary experiences and encounters. In training sessions, others have often asked me, what are the things that people are most concerned about at the end of their life? And what were their questions? Unsurprisingly, they were the big questions of life. What will happen to me when I die? Where will I go? Is heaven real? Will I go there? Is God real? Am I more than just an earthly body? How will I know my family in heaven? I have had the unusual privilege of being present with many people approaching and at the end of life, so I have witnessed countless spiritual experiences, of which there are common threads, regardless of someone's ethnicity, faith, or age. So what I'm sharing today is from my own personal and professional experience, and it has shaped, challenged, formed, and strengthened my own faith and hope. Hope that there is more, hope that we don't just live here on earth then die, hope to believe that part of us lives on, hope that there's a heaven where we will be reunited with our loved ones and there is no more suffering, pain, tears or sorrow. Hope that this life, as C.S. Lewis puts it, is but the front cover of a book, and hope that our ultimate home is in heaven. I'm going to talk about some specific areas of spiritual experiences. Firstly, one of the things that I have witnessed numerous times is the common phenomenon of people approaching the end of life is that they speak about feeling like they're going or getting ready for a trip or a journey. I used to encourage family and friends to really pay attention to what their loved one was saying, even if it appeared out of context or strange, as there was usually something personal, a personal meaning in what they were communicating. Often this was accompanied by what is termed medically as terminal agitation, and that can be very distressing for families. But when we come to understand that there is often an underlying spiritual dimension to what's happening, we can understand and be present in their last words, even give reassurance to assist their passage on this journey. My father, on the day that he died, became very troubled, and although his eyes were closed, he kept tugging at his pyjama bottoms, pulling them up, and he started saying seemingly random things like, I need my number, I'm going to get in the line, I need my shorts, I've got to get in the queue. I realised through my experience that far from being random comments, he was referring to being prepared, and he was expressing it in terms of his own life as a marathon runner and a footballer. These were familiar things to him. He had to get his shorts on, get his kit together, collect his running number. So instead of dismissing these, I was able to reassure him that he did have his number, he did have his kit, and he was going to get there, that all was in order, which really calmed him down before he died. Many people talked about having to get petrol for their car, having to get tickets, getting on a boat, being on time, sorting things out, going to the airport, all similar themes with a little bit of accompanying distress about being ready. I would hold a hand and reassure them that they did have a full tank of petrol. Yes, you have your tickets. I can see them in your hand. You're going to be on time, you're ready, and you're going to be okay. I have discovered through research that this journeying phenomenon is not novel or unusual, as it has been well recorded by medical and nursing staff over the decades. It seems to show us that in many people, their final hours, that they are regarding their impending death as an actual voyage, a physical voyage beyond this earth, that they feel that they are leaving the earthly realm. I do think too there is a big wrench for those that are dying about leaving people on earth that they love and there's a strong tussle to let go, to say goodbye, which seems to add to that agitation and is commonly seen. My own mother had a few silent tears before she died, just running down her cheek, as if she was sad to leave us all. We knew to give her permission to let go, to say the final goodbye that no one ever wants to say. To us, these journeys may seem to be about leaving, but for the dying, they may be more about arriving. Just as it is in the natural realm when we are going on a trip, we have a lot to think about and to prepare, getting everything in order before we leave. And I was a bit like that before we went to New Zealand on a long trip. All the organisation and saying goodbyes produced a certain amount of restlessness and agitation. Understanding this and leaning into it in the last days and words of our loved ones can bring immense comfort and connection. I have been honoured to accompany many people during their final days, and I am convinced that there is a crossing a threshold moment as the body dies and the spirit is released to enter the heavenly realms. Which leads me to the second area that I want to share with you: what and who people see at the end of life. People often shared their dreams, experiences and visions towards the end of life with me, with startling clarity and presence of reality. And one lady who I was very close to was very excited one morning to tell me that she dreamt in Technicolor of going into a stunning garden, walking along a path with me beside her through the lush greenery and beautiful flowers. And right at the end of the path was a cottage. It seemed the home of her dreams. And she wanted in the dream to take me with her. And then she woke up. She knew that she couldn't enter with me and that it wasn't my time. She knew she was close to death and that she had seen her heavenly home and her heavenly garden. Many people too have angelic visitations, even see a room full of angels. Some have felt the presence of invisible hands of comfort. They see visions even of golden gates, and some have a near-death experiencing, even taking them to heaven. This type of spiritual encounter was not limited to Christian believers. Atheists and agnostics had some of the most profound experiences towards the end of their life. One particular person who had been a lifelong atheist had a near-death experience and was taken in a vision to heaven. He couldn't speak afterwards for 3 days, and when he did, he could only say to me, "I can tell you that God is real." And I could see this from the radiance on his face. Also, I met a lady on holiday who told me about her experience, and she recalled her story of being in intensive care and being clinically dead for a short time. She told me that she had been pulled up by a bright light and had entered into what she thought was a heavenly place. It was a place of complete love and peace, of such richness and intensity that she'd never felt that kind of love before, so deep that it seemed to penetrate into every cell of her body. The only thing she said she could liken it to on earth was holding her newborn baby to her breast. I had read about this kind of near-death and heaven experience, but I'd never heard it firsthand, and I knew it was real. Again, her face was glowing with radiance. Since then, I've been told other similar accounts that all involve bright light, tunnels of light, perhaps a life review, and extraordinarily love, joy, freedom, and peace. One of the universal reports from people very close to death is that they often, again, see their loved ones who have passed coming to meet them. Sometimes they will talk to them, even call out their names, and often look up or even put their hands up as if being welcomed home by invisible arms. Unsurprisingly, it's often their deceased mother who comes to the dying person or another close relative as the veil between life and death becomes thinner as their death approaches. It provokes the question, do we ever really die alone? And this can be a great comfort for those of us who have had loved ones with nobody earthly present. The very idea that we die alone may even be challenged and changed. What if the end of life is not a lonely, solitary journey, but rather a joyous reunion with those we have loved and who have gone before us? There does seem to be an eternal connection from the dying to the living that can give us great hope. In the Mother's Day video, I talk about being present with my own mother at the end of her life, and that gave me my first taste of heaven at an early age. When she died, I saw a white ribbon of light leave her body and coil upwards, and I knew it was her spirit entering into the heavenly realm. There was such a peace. And being with my father when he died, his eyes had been closed all day, but suddenly he opened his eyes and he looked at my brother, and then he looked up and he smiled as if gazing on a familiar face, welcoming him home moments before he took his last breath. Also, a lady I was looking after who had been unresponsive for days suddenly had a burst of life. She told me she had seen beautiful golden gates that were shut. I asked her what she thought it meant, and she said she was getting ready to go through them, and she was near death. She found a faith that she had never expected, and she did die peacefully several days later. The most compelling thing in all the dreams, visions, angelic visitations and near-death experiences that people have shared with me have all, without exception, changed the individual visibly and spiritually, imparting a radiance, comfort, peace, and love beyond our understanding, and also a reassurance that we do not travel our last journey alone. What if nobody ever really did die alone? The final words of a few famous people speak volumes. Thomas Edison said, "It's very beautiful over there." And Vincent van Gogh said, "Now I want to go home." And reportedly, Sir Walter Raleigh's last words were, "I have a long journey to take and must bid the company farewell." In the next video, part 2, I want to talk about heaven. I want to explore the significance of some of the above experiences, and also some experiences that bereaved people have shared after their loved ones have passed.